A couple of years ago, Troy and I were in Nashville for a couple of weeks, and we took a trip to Camden, Tennessee to see the plane crash location of PATSY CLINE. On March 5th, 1963, PATSY CLINE and Hawkshaw Hawkins and Cowboy Copas and pilot Randy Hughes died in a plane crash. Now, they were traveling from Kansas City to their ultimate destination of Nashville, and they were caught up in what was called what was it? It was like just not good weather is basically what it was. And Randy Hughes, the pilot, was unaccustomed to being an instrument-only pilot. It was completely, you couldn't see out the windows, and after a while he couldn't judge what was up, what was down, much like JFK Jr. when he was flying over the ocean to Martha's Vineyard. Didn't know up from down. The ocean looked dark, like the sky looked dark, so they spiraled out of control and ended up in the forest, where there is now a memorial to them all. Now, at 6:30 p.m. on that day, the 5th of March, someone who was a witness or an ear witness had heard the plane go down and knew there was a crash somewhere, and went out and they searched around the area and couldn't find anything. They finally called off the search meeting at 11:30 p.m. that night. And it was about 6 a.m. the next morning that the wreck was finally found, or what was left of the wreck. I mean, there were no solid pieces, really. And this video isn't going to, I'm not going to show you anything graphic, but you're going to hear descriptions of what happened. You'll also see some pictures of the crash without any of the gory stuff in it. And it's an extremely brutal and extremely gory story, which you're going to hear about in just a little bit. Now, from actually an eyewitness, I found a video of an eyewitness who did an interview, and it's pretty gnarly. So be prepared for that. That's what you're going to hear. Now, when we went out there, over the years, I've been approached many times about people who have pieces of the plane crash and tried to sell it to me. There are pieces in various museums, etc., and I've always wanted a piece for my own museum. I had a rock from the location, but so we decided to go on a search, and I brought along my metal detector, and we went around, and you're going to see in just a moment what exactly we found, which I think 100% is from the plane crash of that killed PATSY CLINE and the others. Sunday afternoon, and we are in Camden, Tennessee, and we're heading to the PATSY CLINE Memorial. It's sopping wet out. Hasn't stopped raining all day. We're almost there. There's the blue sign. Hey, there's land for sale out here. There's another car out here. That's it down there. Cars only. So you should be able to just drive past that. God, we thought we'd be the only ones out here. So you got to go down to that to get to that. There's the memorial down there. So
Is there a parking lot? You just gotta park.
I think we just park. Country music's darkest day. It is gloomy and it is wet. And we're gonna walk down to there, and then I'll shoot it as we're walking. All right, it is pissing down silence. When we were in Nashville, we went to the PATSY CLINE Museum, which is combined with the Johnny Cash Museum, and they're both incredible museums. And they had a lot of Patsy Cline memorabilia there, including some of her stage costumes. They had some of the furniture from her home that she shared with Charlie Dick. That's the Dream Home on Nella Drive, which isn't very far. And actually the actual keys to the Dream Home were there too. The vacuum cleaner was there, which was my particular favorite. Also, they had some of the things that were found in the accident, including the watch, the actual watch Patsy was wearing in the crash. So I'll read what it said about the accident. Investigators believe that Randy Hughes entered an area of deteriorating weather with low visibility and lost his visual reference with the ground, as I mentioned before. The aircraft cleared the clouds. He attempted to arrest the high descent rate by pulling the nose up and applying full power, but it was too late. They found evidence that the propeller was at maximum speed during impact. They hit the tops of the trees and basically spiraled. So this is what the plane crash location looks like now. Yeah, this whole pathway is new from when I was here, because actually it was a little bit of off-road was this memorial, I think. March 5th, 1963. Smarties. Nice. So it would have been, I guess, yeah. The debris scattered 160 feet to 139 feet, basically 50 by 40 meters all around. So it was spread around quite a bit. And he found musical instruments, amplifiers, costumes, clothing, and musical apparatus. And actually, they found them in the trees, on the ground, scattered around. It was pretty gnarly.
I'm talking about pieces of the airplane, part of the entertainment's clothing and part of their equipment. I remember seeing broken guitars. I remember seeing cowboy hats and part of their rhinestone suits. We found more Patsy Cline, I'd say, than anyone else. She was wedged in under a log, partly. At the very far end, her torso was always intact, and part of her head and her long black hair was identifiable, reason we knew it was her. Also, we found one of her feet wedged in a fork of a tree, just like this. It was broke off its ankle and her foot just hanging in the fork of a tree. And the reason we knew it was her foot, it had fingernail polish on the toenails. And it was a very dreadful scene, and something I'd never experienced before and hope never see again.
Did you find anything?
No, just my shoes. The metal detector went off several times. I was able to dig up 3 particular items in this area, and I brought them back to the memorial and placed the largest item on the memorial, this circular or half circular piece of, didn't know what it was. To me, I immediately thought lawnmower, but obviously that was not a lawn over there to mow. But I sent it to a couple of people. My buddy Daryl pointed out that it might be part of a instrument panel. It looks very similar, like that could be the point. Now, the other piece that sort of looks like a snake or something, that I've convinced. I did a lot of looking around, and I think it's the top of a coat hanger. If you look at this random coat hanger image I found online, and look at the top of it, look at that metal hook part of it, look very closely at it, and if you look closely at what I found, I'm convinced that that was it. We know there was a lot of clothing, a lot of costumes on board, so I am sure that we found a piece of the wreckage, and I am sure that we found a piece of a clothing hanger from the accident. All right, so we're leaving the memorial and we're heading back up the road, and the fog is starting to fall. We can go up to that little memorial gazebo. It's like a weird little viewing point, you know? In this photograph, Patsy is wearing the clothing she died in. Here are a few non-gruesome photographs of the crash site and various debris scattered around the area. It's quite clear that the people on the plane did not suffer at all. The victims' deaths were instantaneous. The aftermath was chaotic and horrific. Pieces of the plane were strewn about the forest. A wing in an oak tree, an engine divoted 6 feet into the ground. The funeral director said that when he discovered the bodies and they were being prepared for burial, Patsy's watch was found, the one that we saw in the museum earlier. And according to him, the funeral director said the watch was embedded into her heart when they found her. Well, yeah, solar power for something, right? I remember there being a mailbox here, and people would leave notes for her. Here's more cars coming. So without a doubt, that location is one of the most important locations in country music history. I hope that you enjoyed your trip there with me, and maybe you learned something. And ultimately, I guess, thank you for joining me, and thank you for your time, and thank you for your attention. And until next time.